So, I've heard many videos about why gang stalking takes place. People say it's the banking. People say it's the politicians. People say that they're satanic societies. And ironically, the satanic societies is probably the closest, though when you present it to somebody of a rational mind who's not particularly religious, it's not going to get you anywhere. The best way to put it, and the most straightforward, get straight to the point, is it has to do with philosophy. People who share philosophies and cultural values have grouped together, and they use institutions and the monetary system to get their agenda across. They need political movements, they need law enforcement, they definitely need mental health to enforce social norms. They need jobs, major corporations, conglomerates, and companies in order to hire people who are more friendly to their agenda, thus sabotaging the life by selective employment, sabotaging the lives of those who aren't sharing their similar cultural values. The same way that Muslims, radical Muslims, feel shunned by society is the same way that political dissidents feel shunned. Anyone who goes against their agenda, whether they are extremely outspoken, a radical Muslim, from a faith that they don't like, they have shunning. And gang stalking is one of the ways to target somebody for an extra amount of shunning. For example, gang members, if you're a gang member and you walk alone, okay? Many times I used to be dropped off by my parents and I'd walk alone and I'd dress like a thug and I'd feel a level of shunning, okay? But the most shunning you get is when you're a political dissident, as it is right now. The second most shunning you get is when you are a radical Muslim, and then a Muslim, etc., etc. This is how it works. I'm sure we can all agree on this. I'm sure we all know that people with long beards, such as myself, and longer, especially longer, and Arab-looking people, Middle Eastern-looking people, Semitic-looking people, tend to not be treated as fair as the rest of us. I don't get treated as bad as they do, but they get treated, extremely bad because they look like what we perceive as a quote-unquote terrorist. And that's a video for another day. This one I'm going to stick to the philosophy. Gang stalking is about philosophy. If you get hung up on the banking system, you're not truly appreciating why it's going on. If you get hung up on mental health, which is, I don't blame you, because they're a bunch of sharks, liars, unscrupulous idiots. They're the main ones who will try to say that there's something wrong with you instead of hearing you out and considering what you're going through. But you're not considering the bigger picture. What all these people share in common is cultural values and philosophical values. And it goes back to Plato, Aristotle. It goes back to the common ground that Freemasonry creates or rather emphasizes and highlights in different religions. So gang stalking is about Western philosophy first and foremost. And Freemasonry just happens to be one of the main centers, the stronghold for Western philosophy, if you will. They say, what do all these religions have from our Western point of view? We're going to consider your Eastern point of view as long as it has common ground with our Western point of view. We're going to consider your Middle Eastern point of view as long as it has common ground with our Western point of view. And obviously it has. Because there's many parallels you can draw between Christianity and the Roman religions and the Greco-Roman religions, the Celtics religions from the Celts, the Druids, the Scythians, the Phoenicians, which a lot of Europeans take credit for, the Carthaginians, the Norse, etc. There's many parallels you can draw. The belief, just like religion, the definition of religion. So this is about Western philosophy, first and foremost. If there's a major problem and something that needs to be addressed, it is Western philosophy. The answer to it, one answer to it is Islam in its pure form. And a lot of you TIs aren't going to consider this. But you have to realize that the root cause of what is going on is Western philosophy. These people don't believe in Islam. And if there is Muslims involved, they are part of secret societies that have started in the West. Freemasonry in England, okay? The Illuminati in Germany. If there's people who aren't part of Western philosophy who are involved, they are part of groups that stress what their philosophy has in common with Western philosophy, and their oaths and allegiance is to a group or institution that is part of the greater Western philosophy and that is trying to spread Western philosophy, practices cultural imperialism and hegemony. Okay? So what I think is very important that everybody who is against oppression, who is against imperialism, who is against dictatorships, oligarchies, who is against forcing people to do things, is you have to see who wants to do this in the first place and what has allowed them to see it this way. A lot of these people quote Plato, Pythagoras, okay, Socrates, okay? And a lot of us have been taught that, oh, these people are smart, but truly look at what they believe. And if you're not going to do that, at least consider that this is Western philosophy first and foremost. Gangstalking is a result of Western philosophy. The Illuminati is a result of Western philosophy. This mental health system as we have it, especially in the West, is a result of Western philosophy. Freemasonry, Western philosophy. Police oppression, Western philosophy. The school system, the education system, the miseducation system, Western philosophy. History. What did Napoleon say? History is written by the winners. Western philosophy. The whitewashing of Egypt. Western philosophy. All the L's that conspiracy theorists and targeted individuals are talking about have one thing in common. You guessed it, Western philosophy. That's why I urge you all to reject Western philosophy, even if you are white. If the devil was white, would you take his philosophy upon yourself just because you're white? If you're a Christian, are you not taking up a Middle Eastern Semitic philosophy, not a Western philosophy? Western philosophy is evil. And believe it or not, when people translated Boko Haram as Western philosophy is sacrilege, that phrase in itself is right. What Boko Haram is doing isn't necessarily right, but that phrase is right. Western philosophy is sacrilege. So they have taught you that the terrorists believe that Western philosophy is sacrilege and they must stop it at all costs. Thus, they have brainwashed you. They are practicing doublethink. They're telling you, yeah, the terrorists are spreading the truth. They're not telling you this the truth, but they're telling you something that is true. They're saying this is what the terrorists believe. They're bad people. They kill innocent people. Forget the fact that America kills the most innocent people, hands down. That the West has killed the most people in wars, hands down. World War I, World War II, etc., etc. Forget that fact. They don't want you to think about that. Forget the fact that the West has killed the most Americans. The American Civil War, World War I, World War II. The Revolutionary War. Forget that fact. That's what they don't want you to consider. They don't want you to admit that the problem here is Western philosophy, especially Plato, who was a eugenicist. Look how many people are killed in abortions. Western philosophy, eugenics. The state should control reproduction, and they used to force sterilize people right here in America not too long ago. Western philosophy. Western philosophy is evil. And gang stalking, if you're going to say that there's one reason and one thing that all these people have in common, it is Western philosophy, white Western social norms, Western miseducation, and the satanic occult, which has sprung up almost solely from Western philosophy and how the West views other religions and stole ideas, then Western washed it, westernized it, whitewashed it. Anton LaVey, Western philosophy. Aleister Crowley, Western philosophy. Manly P. Hall, Madame Blavatsky, the Theosophical Society, Western philosophy. Thank you.